All right, Jake, welcome back. Not too long since I saw you last time.
I hope you had a good holiday weekend.
I did. Just went to a couple Halloween parties. I got some candy, did some tricks, did some treats, the whole bit. What were you for Halloween?
I was the scariest girl out there trick-or-treating with my 4-year-old. I was healthcare premiums. This is not my premium. This was from the great state of Illinois. We just spent some time. This is freaking scary. Look at that.
Jake, you went as healthcare premiums and as the biggest nerd in Boston.
I saw someone else out there as MMR. They had 3 kids, measles, mumps, and rubella. We got to get them on the podcast.
Yeah, our first interview. Well, that's good. Walk us through that Halloween costume. I want to hear a little bit more about it, and not just to make fun of you.
Obviously, this is a little bit of a joke based in some serious conversation that we had on the last episode. So just to remember, the government is still shut down. We recorded that 2 weeks ago. And since that episode was recorded, we now actually see what healthcare premiums are going to cost families in America. So what I have here is someone who posted about their family plan, and they're in Illinois, and they get it through the marketplace. So this was the Obamacare or ACA marketplaces that were set up, and specifically through the state of Illinois. And they posted 3 silver plans, which is the mid-tier. And this is the cost per month, was ranged from $3,600 to $3,800. I mean, just a little bit of math, that's almost $50,000 a year just for the healthcare premiums. If you don't use it at all, you're still paying $50,000 a year. What is even more insane, if you look at the most expensive plan, which it's the Blue Choice Preferred Silver PPO Standard, which is by Blue Cross and Blue Shield, the deductible was $12,000.
Jesus.
So you're paying $50,000 a year, and then you're still paying the first $12,000 of healthcare costs before the insurance pays anything. So it's basically $60,000 before the plan kicks in. The out-of-pocket max is $17,000. So once you get above that $67,000, then the insurance will pay everything. I don't understand how anyone can afford healthcare in America if you don't have a great package through your employer.
Yeah, I mean, $67,000. That's how much of these people's income?
It got 4 stars. It got 4 stars though.
5 out of 5. So yeah, it's a solid 80%. $67,000 to get 80% quality. I don't know what to say. It's untenable, both for the individuals buying it and for us as a country. All that's going to lead to is a lot more people dropping out of the insurance market.
And this is middle-class America. If you qualify for Medicaid, which is basically less than the poverty line, or in some of the expansion states around the poverty line, you're not paying these premiums and you're getting a better deal. It's for folks that are about 4 times the poverty line, that cliff we talked about, making $100,000, a very solid middle-class income, but not if $60,000 goes to your healthcare costs. That's just not possible. I don't know what this person's going to do. We should reach out to Mark, see what he's doing.
It's honestly just very clear that entire families are not going to have healthcare as a result of this. And these are people who are frequently self-employed, not working for a big corporation, small business owners. And those are the people who are getting hit the hardest with this.
What was going in Washington when people are paying these premiums? Well, I got a screenshot here, David.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is
the
new Lincoln bathroom. Go Lincoln. I mean, this is just king SHIT, if you ask me.
It's highly polished statuary marble, and there's something to be said for that.
I mean, it looks really nice. This is the nicest bathroom I've ever seen. I mean, A+ designer.
I feel like this is another one of those things where maybe it's worth it for, like, I don't know, 50 or 60,000 people not to get healthcare. So we get the Lincoln bathroom with statuary marble. Dude, that seems like a good deal.
Yeah. I mean, what is like one grade below statuary marble? It's just like run-of-the-mill marble. Maybe they could have done that.
Countertop marble? I don't know.
Countertop marble.
Wow. Yeah. So we're doing great in this country. We have our priorities exactly in the right place, putting the people first.
We didn't think it could get worse. And the reason that we called this emergency unhealthy podcast for our loyal listeners is to talk about SNAP benefits.
Okay, 1, 2,
Get
3.
Get those clips. Your hand was off screen. You gotta get a little more center.
1, 2, 3. So what is SNAP, Jake?
SNAP benefits used to be called food stamps. And for folks who do not make enough money and have food insecurity, they get a monthly allowance to buy healthy food or food in certain grocery stores. If you look at who qualifies, it's actually a very large proportion of the United States. 1 in 8 people qualified for SNAP benefits. Taking a step back, what are we doing in America not paying people enough that they can't afford food? I mean, 55% of the people on SNAP benefits are working, yet they can't afford food. And then I tried to print out that ballroom, but it was a black and white. That looks terrible. So
Yeah,
that
the
didn't work.
gold doesn't really gleam through. It's a black and
Yeah.
white. The other thing, SNAP is also called EBT, so it's switched over to an electronic system. So even if listeners aren't familiar with SNAP or don't know about that, they've probably seen EBT accepted here. And that just means that people who have SNAP benefits can buy food at that location. And importantly, they can't buy alcohol, they can't buy cigarettes. I don't even think they can buy vapes. Bummer. They
Sorry,
can't
David.
buy they can't buy pre-made food, so it's for bulk food items. What's going on with SNAP right now?
Yeah. So there's actually money that is set aside for SNAP benefits outside of funding the government. There's a special pot of money. And what the Trump administration has decided to do is to not give that money to states. And then the states administer these SNAP programs. So Congress, in all of its glory, which I'm using a little sarcastically here, realized that this could be an issue that if the government shuts down, they wanted to maintain SNAP benefits. So the money's already set aside. And the Trump administration and Republicans have decided to not give that money to the states. So 42 million people, as of yesterday, are at risk of getting SNAP benefits completely shut off. And it's about $200 on average. So it's not a huge sum of money for each individual, but it is a large program when 40 million people are getting that assistance.
Yeah, and especially in the context of the rising grocery prices that we're seeing across the country. Food is more expensive now than ever has been. And now people are getting what little support they had to buy food for themselves is being removed. So what support the government was giving to deal with these rising prices that are in response to a lot of things, but certainly tariffs being one of them, are now being removed.
David, you make a great point here. When Trump was running in 2024, he ran on bringing down the prices of groceries. What did he do? He came and started slapping taxes, tariffs on imports, which we get a lot of our food imported, right? You can't grow bananas in Wyoming. And because of that, prices are still increasing. And then to rub something acidic in a wound, what's it? Salt in a
Salt in the
wound.
wound,
There's
yeah,
that
yeah.
idiom. He just decides to cut SNAP benefits as some like bargaining chip to cut healthcare. I mean, that's what they're doing, right?
And let's talk again, just real quick, why is the government shut down still? What are the Democrats demanding? The Democrats are maintaining a shutdown government in order to provide these ACA subsidies that we touched on at the beginning. So to try to prevent those kind of premiums for families, the Democrats are making demands that we extend the existing benefits that the Republicans are canceling. And in order to exert whatever leverage they have shut down the government to do that.
I want to remind you that the Republicans currently control all of government. I mean, they have the presidency and both houses of Congress. And just when the Democrats had that a couple of years ago, to pass this budget, you have to have 60 votes in the Senate. So you usually come up with some compromise. But what the Republicans put out there was doing this to premiums. And the Democrats are like, we're not going to accept that. Like the Democrats are happy to open the government. They even wanted to extend SNAP benefits, but like as an isolated package, and the Republicans said no. So yes, the Democrats are one of the issues for why it's shut down. But if the Republicans brought back the ACA subsidies, the government would be open tomorrow.
This is a choice that is being made to undercut the benefits to the American people, undercut the social safety net. And it started with healthcare, and now it's being extended into food security. And that's just a direct impact of choices that the government is making. And the government here, because it is run by the Republican Party, they have control all three branches. I mean, they control the executive branch in Trump. They have both the House and the Senate. And essentially, the Supreme Court is run by the Republican philosophy at this point, if nothing else. They are making this choice. And the Democrats are doing anything they can to provide support for the American people, while the Republicans are doing everything they can to remove that support. And we're seeing it in ways that are really hitting people in the pockets and now hitting people in the stomachs.
And what pisses me off is when you look what President Trump is doing, he doesn't care. I mean, he honestly couldn't care less that his government is shut down. He's doing his renovation of the East Wing and eating $1,000 meals down in Florida. Like, he really doesn't care. And he ran on a populist movement, and he just doesn't care, which is why his approval ratings are in the toilet. I want to dive a little bit into who is getting SNAP benefits and who is benefiting from this program.
Yeah. An important point is, what benefits have we seen since SNAP was initiated in the country? Have there been long-term health benefits? Is this a program worth maintaining? And we should say they're not trying to cancel SNAP right now. It's just currently not being funded during the shutdown by choice. But while people aren't getting SNAP benefits, let's talk a little bit about what those SNAP benefits provide.
And actually, back to that point of people not getting SNAP benefits, they're going to stop paying their mortgage. They're going to stop with all these other
Yeah.
bills because the number one thing they're going to buy is food. This domino effect could very easily happen within a larger economy, which I think is hard to predict. But looking at what is the benefit of the SNAP program, so incredible, 40% of the SNAP benefits are going to children who don't have enough money to put food on the table. And I don't think anyone can disagree that learn in school and become an active member in society, you have to have a full belly. If you're starving at school, there's no way you're going to learn anything.
Multiple long-term studies have found that children who had access to SNAP early in life had better health and educational outcomes. And they also had lower rates of metabolic disease as adults. Having access to food, turns out, leads to a better life. And not surprisingly, being able to have a full belly and not be worrying about where your next meal comes from leads to a more productive and happy life. And we're just taking that away from kids right now. That's never been something that I've had to worry about in my life, thankfully. And it's genuinely tragic. That's a lesson that a lot of these kids are going to have to learn starting today.
Especially in this country when there's so much freaking wealth.
Yeah.
It hurts. It hurts thinking about it. What's cruel also is the money's there. The money was set aside. It's just sitting in some account. It's not even about the money at this point. It's literally just being cruel. It's using children's hunger as a bargaining chip in some political game. When you think of SNAP benefits, a lot of people automatically think about poor people living in urban areas. But if you look at the states that benefit the most from SNAP, it's actually not California. And people think California, oh, there's all the urban centers. Number one is actually New Mexico. And then other ones in the top 5 are historically Republican states, Louisiana, West Virginia. And it just goes to show that there are people in the cities that need SNAP benefits, but there's also people in rural areas that need SNAP benefits. So not only is Trump hurting people in urban areas, he's also hurting Americans that are living in rural areas that probably honestly voted for him, thinking that he was going to be a populist president and helping them out.
It's pretty remarkable that this, again, is one of those issues that shouldn't be politicized. Like, we should just all agree that feeding our population is a foundational component of what the government is. The SNAP benefits have their roots in the Great Depression. They've been around in some form for the last 100 years. They have helped literally tens of millions of Americans over that time. It's lifted millions of children out of poverty and led to better lives for literally tens of millions of people. And we are watching that crumble in front of our eyes in real time. As of today, that foundational work of government, feeding the population, is no longer guaranteed in America for the first time in 100 years. And if that doesn't serve as a wake-up call to how terrible the current administration is doing, maintaining the basic functions of what it means to govern our population and to work for the people.
We talked a lot about how children are getting SNAP benefits. The other group that is benefiting from this is our retired population. 15% of SNAP benefits are going to those over the age of 65. It's those who are on a fixed income from Social Security, but are still at or around the poverty line. They're getting that extra $200 a month to put food on their tables. So again, we need to be funding this program to feed working Americans. 50% of those getting benefits are working. 40% of those have children in the household, and 15% are seniors. It seems like a no-brainer, and Congress and the administration needs to restore funding immediately.
I don't know what could be a more stark example of an epic failure of government. Is there anything more Marie Antoinette than this? Just let them eat cake.
So I'm terrible at idioms, David. Can you explain the let them eat cake to me as it relates to history of France?
So the let them eat cake thing, it actually wasn't ever said, if we're being honest, but it's attributed to Marie Antoinette, the last queen of France before the revolution. And when she heard that the peasants had no bread to eat, she supposedly said, let them eat cake. Like, they don't have bread, they can eat cake. That's what she had access to. But what it is really getting at is there's this massive out of touch elites who have no concept of the suffering of the people underneath them. And I think that since the modern day, let them eat cake, let them just hang out in the gold ballroom. People are going to love it. They'll just listen to YMCA and have a good time. But in reality, people are struggling, and our populist president doing it for the people is instead making people go hungry. choosing intentionally to let people go hungry, to let people not have health care, and to spend his time and energy building this gold-plated bullshit.
Yeah,
And
the government is shut down. People have to pay $50,000 a year for health insurance, have to find food banks out, SNAP benefits are gone. And this is what he's doing. So on this podcast, we talk a lot about individual net worth and just the immense wealth that the top 10 families have in America. I actually want to talk a little bit about the immense wealth that exists in the stock market in today's age. So if you just looked at the S&P 500 or your favorite total market indices, we're setting new highs pretty much every week. Some of the tech companies in the AI bubble now worth over $5 trillion, a level of wealth that even for the United States seems kind of insane. Yet, if you talk to people who are actually living in America, it does not feel like that. So the entire US stock market is about $67 trillion. David, we never have any 18-year-olds listen to this podcast. Can you do a little 6-7 for us?
I don't know what that means, Jake. I'm choosing hard to not look into it. I'm okay getting out of touch with skibbity Rizzlers throughout the world.
Clip that. But $67
Get off my
trillion.
lawn, Jake. Get off my lawn.
Yeah. $67 trillion. We talk about an individual wealth tax. I really think the next president of the United States needs to consider some type of corporate wealth tax to start getting back at this income inequality that exists in America.
Yeah, I think that what we're seeing right now on screen with that split image between a gold-plated ballroom that is going to be attended by billionaires, who our president, our entire freaking government is just chock full of billionaires right now. They're running the show and they're building themselves gold-plated ballroom while at the same time cutting food benefits, cutting healthcare benefits for everybody else. There is no clear image of the misplaced priorities in this country. And I think a wealth tax would be a phenomenal way to start some of that reallocation of resources to go to people who need it, to go to people who genuinely are struggling to get by.
Are you following the mayor election in New York City?
Peripherally, I think it's great that what Mamdani is talking about are bringing back some of these like basic necessities, transportation, healthcare, food that the government helps pay for, taxing rich people. Those are not crazy ideas.
So the Republican social media enterprise has somehow made it be that socialism equals feeding the population, equals feeding kids. And if that's what socialism is, I'm all for it. That sounds absolutely great that we need to feed kids. That's not actually what the historical definition of socialism meant. That was more the workers taking control of the production lines and all that. But if we're talking about making whatever city or making the country more affordable, including SNAP benefits and making insurance premiums lower, if that's socialism, then people need to be for it.
It's wild to think that we're even having a discussion about the benefits of lifting millions of children out of poverty. That's a no-brainer. Give these kids a chance to have better lives, develop their good ideas, be educated, provide for society, instead of being trapped in a cycle of poverty. There's some ideological bent that says we shouldn't feed kids, we shouldn't lift poor children out of poverty and give them the best shot at living a full life. How is that even a discussion in 2025?
I wonder, David, in the current political era, if any of these great programs that former politicians created for us would even exist. I can't imagine Social Security, SNAP benefits. I can't even imagine public schooling having been established with the current administration in power. It's just so absolutely ridiculous.
They're trying to cut the education department, not teach kids.
It's absurd.
Hey, Jake, healthy or unhealthy policy? Let's do it.
The SNAP benefits are so healthy. It's so healthy. I don't understand. Nutritious food at everyone's table. Healthy.
Healthy. All right.
David, what do you think?
A lot of today's episode has been editorializing about this. It just seems like it's so obvious. The benefits have been such an inherent part of America for so long. They've helped so many millions of people. And to give that up, to use that again as a bargaining chip in some partisan bullshit is just another example about how the goals of the current administration are to absolutely demolish the social safety net. And they will continue to take every opportunity to do so. And to whose benefit? The stock market's better than ever.
I mean, don't get mad at your neighbor who's getting SNAP benefits. Get mad at the freaking billionaires who are transferring wealth from poor people to rich people, from the middle class to rich people. We can't get mad at each other. We really have to understand where our anger needs to be pointed.
All right, Jake, you wanted me to say something funny. I just don't know that there's a whole lot of inherent humor in starving children. I don't know. I mean, you have to
Okay, now we're
really
both
dig deep.
laughing, and now
Yeah.
you made us laugh at starving children.
Yeah, you got to dig deep to find the humor there. Like maybe they could pull it off on South Park, but my comedic chops do not extend toward joking about starving kids. It's just tough to find anything to really laugh about in this. It's a really gross current state of national politics.
And on that realistic note, this was Unhealthy Policy.
Yeah. If you're feeling down about the world, come listen to our podcast.
You'll feel even worse.
Nothing but sunshine and rainbows over here. All right. So, unhealthy policy. We'll see you at the next time.